it's tragic.
A new episode of the shocking docuseries Quiet on Set examines the fallout of the investigation Discovery series, plus cast members react to Dan Schneider's recent apology.
And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
Here's 5 bombshell moments, starting with Drake Bell's new interview. Host Soledad O'Brien speaks with the Drake and Josh alum who previously broke his silence in the docuseries about the sexual abuse he suffered at the age of 15. Fans who watched the series will remember Drake details his experience in the courtroom at the sentencing of Brian Peck, the former acting coach who Drake claims sexually abused him. In previous social media comments, Drake slammed Boy Meets World stars Will Friedle and Ryder Strong for writing letters in support of Brian Peck following his 2004 conviction. The two stars expressed regret for the letters in a recent podcast episode, though Drake says since the docuseries aired, he has not heard from anyone who previously supported Peck. He also says Will, a former co-star of his, had opportunities to apologize.
He then asked us to support him and go to court with him, which a lot of us did. And we're sitting in that courtroom on the wrong side of everything, of course, having no idea of this, filled with child actors, to the point where the victim's mother turned and said, look at all the famous people you brought with you, and it doesn't change what you did to my kid. And I just sat there wanting to die, where it was like, what the hell am I doing here?
Hearing from Will and hearing from Ryder, does it change at all how you think about that day now?
I mean, no. I worked with Will on Spider-Man, and there was a lot of opportunity to apologize or talk about it, and never did. But also, I mean, it's a very difficult subject to bring up. I mean, especially in a work environment. So, and that's the thing that's hard about this, is because everybody deals with their trauma in different ways. Everybody comes to different conclusions at different times in their lives and realizations. And I mean, I really appreciate that they've, their perspective now, but I mean, that day is so ingrained in my mind. And there's so many people who, I mean, nobody's reached out to me. No one else? I mean,
no one at all?
Personally, no, not one person who's written one of those letters has reached out to me.
E! News has reached out to reps for Will and Ryder for comment and has not yet heard back. Drake is also asked about his former co-star, Amanda Bynes.
And when you look at other actors, I mean, Amanda Bynes, who's in the doc as well, I mean, when you see her story and her struggle, do you look and think, this is also part of what happens when you're a child actor?
Well, I mean, with Amanda and so many others, I mean, we've lost so many that aren't here anymore. And it's just, I've watched tragedy after tragedy after tragedy in this business, and it's just heartbreaking.
And the musician shares more insight into how his former co-star Josh Peck has supported him.
I want to ask you a little bit about your former co-star, Josh, because people were very hard on him for what they perceived to be his reaction to your story.
Yeah, I know what it's like to have, the internet attack you for, I mean, really nothing. He had reached out to me, and we've been talking. This is a really difficult thing to process. But at the end of the day, we have such a close connection and this unique bond that's so rare in this industry that, I don't know, it's really special, and he's a really great person.
The series also explores new allegations about Brian Peck's behavior on set. Former All That star Shane Lyons breaks his silence in his first appearance in the series during a sit-down where he accuses Peck of being inappropriate.
It's gut-wrenching. And I feel very blessed and lucky that nothing like that happened to me. There were certainly some passes,
that he made on you.
Yeah.
Did you realize at the time that they were passes?
No. When he asked me if I knew what blue balls was, I thought they were racquetballs.
Peck was arrested in 2003. According to court records viewed by E! News, the acting coach, now 63, was convicted of 2 charges that included lewd act upon a child 14 or 15 by a person 10 years or older, and oral copulation of a person under 16. He served over a year in prison. E! News has reached out to Brian Peck in response to the new allegations, but has not yet heard back. Next up, cast members Giovanni Samuels and Brian Hearn, who appeared in previous episodes of Quiet on Set, share their new reaction to an apology video featuring Dan Schneider. Quiet on Set largely explores Schneider's Nickelodeon shows and alleges that the TV producer created a toxic and inappropriate workplace. Here's what Giovanni and Brian had to say about Schneider's public apology.
I am so sorry to any kid who ever had to do a dare or anything that they didn't want to do or weren't comfortable doing. We went out of our way to make sure they were safe and that everything was done properly, but if a kid was scared and didn't want to do it, kids shouldn't have had to do it.
Yeah.
Period, the end.
Right.
And if I had known at the time, I would have changed it on the spot.
If he had known at the time, he would have changed it on the spot. Why are you both laughing?
My thing about his interview as a whole is I thought it was funny.
What do you think was funny about it?
If I could be candid, Dan was an actor before all of this. And so I think that he brushed off some chops and gave us a nice performance. Where was all of this apologizing when Jeanette McCurdy's book came out?
Or when Angelique Bates had said something.
Yeah, very publicly.
Very publicly.
And I just feel that what's an apology without accountability?
E! News has reached out to Dan Schneider in response to the claims in the newest episode, but has not yet heard back. In 2021, Schneider responded to allegations of inappropriate workplace behavior, telling the New York Times, "I couldn't and I wouldn't have the long-term friendships and continued loyalty from so many reputable people if I'd mistreated my actors of any age, especially minors," adding that if people saw him as difficult, it was because of his high standards. E! News has previously reached out to Nickelodeon for comment on the docuseries, but has not yet heard back. Russell Hicks, former president of content and production at Nickelodeon, previously told E! News in a statement that every single thing Dan ever did on any of his shows was carefully scrutinized and approved by executives at Nickelodeon.